So I am Nadine, Nadine White of the Sophisticated Life blog. I call myself a blogger by day and a physician by night because I am a physician. I'm a pediatric hospitalist here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I also have a travel blog, The Sophisticated Life. I cover travel, food, and wine, and so I love doing both. And I'm also a founding member of the Black Travel Alliance that came about in June. As Erica mentioned, there's 18 of us, and we're really passionate about the changes that we're going to make in the travel industry. We really do want it to be inclusive, and we want to really support Black travel content creators. And we're also looking for allies in the industry that really believe in having a more diverse travel industry, holding the travel industry accountable, and that's why we're here to tell you guys about the Black Travel Alliance. As Erica said, we've had great press so far, but it's never enough. We really want to get the word out and have people really know why we're here and that we're here to stay. So I'm going to have Monet introduce herself, and then we'll get into the presentation.
Thank you, Nadine, and thank you, Erica, for having us. So hi, everybody. My name is Monet Hambrick. I am the mom and a writer behind the travel blog, The Traveling Child. I have a 4 and a 6-year-old and take them absolutely everywhere with me. They've been to 6 continents. So I cover family travel, but then I also cover solo travel as a mom, and that's something that's really important to me, and not losing myself in motherhood, as well as couples travel with my husband. I also do freelance writing for The Points Guy, and I am an author of the children's book, The Traveling Child Goes to Rio de Janeiro, which is about my family's travels. As Nadine said, the Black Travel Alliance was something, it was so nice for 18 of us to come together. Sometimes people see the travel industry as something that's really competitive, but for all of us to come together and really be working towards the same goal and making sure that our voices are heard and respected in the travel industry, and that we're not losing out on opportunities just because of the color of our skin. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about Black Travel Alliance and exactly what our plans are and how we plan to move forward. So thank you guys for having us.
Awesome. So bear with me a second. I am going to try and share my screen here. Okay. All right. All right, so now I have to get up here. Okay. All right, so Black Travel Alliance, why it exists and how to get involved. And so first I wanted to just go over some of the background. Let me try and minimize this here. Okay. So I wanted to go over the background a bit because we didn't just kind of hop on the scene. There's been a lot of things that have happened to kind of come bring us to where we are today. Actually, uh, I don't know how it went. Hold on one second. It kind of, oh, it was not at the front. Let me go back. Okay. Okay, so we're at the beginning again. Okay, so just to give you guys some background here, in 2010, the Mandela research firm estimated that the economic value of African American travelers was about 48 billion. But according to Nielsen, only about 2.6% of media advertising was actually geared towards African Americans. So that's pretty low. Um, in 2011, Nomadness Travel Tribe was founded, which was followed by Travel Noir in 2013. Those are just two of several Black online travel groups that were formed. And some of you may have heard of the term the Black Travel Movement. Basically, a lot of online Black travel groups were formed. A lot of Black people were not only traveling, but sharing with each other about places they were going, recommending different destinations, cities, which led to even more spending by Black people in different destinations. So the fact that the travel industry wasn't using Black people in ads and using Black people in campaigns, they were really missing out on all these billions of dollars that Black people were spending on these destinations. If you simply Google travel, you would not really see Black people or people of color in any of the images, if you Google travel. So that was really disappointing. Major travel bloggers and writers, there were several that were writing about the fact that there was a lack of diversity in travel blogging and travel media. And that was going on for years. It was very frustrating. There were different travel bloggers, myself included, that were writing about the fact that there were a lot of Black travel bloggers that were at the top of their game, that were writing about these destinations, but you would still hear about destinations or travel industry insiders saying, well, we don't know about any Black travel bloggers. And in 2018, Martinique Lewis, who's actually a diversity and travel consultant president, and also the diversity and travel consultant and president of the Black Travel Alliance, published a diversity and travel report card in which she graded the travel industry leaders on things such as diversity in social media, diversity in ads and promotions, diversity in travel programs and events. And she gave them grades from A to F. And in 2018, she did the first diversity in travel report card. And there was a lot of Fs, as you can imagine. She even graded the diversity in influencer trips, diversity and inclusion and travel in terms of diversity in travel companies. And by 2019, she did a comparison with her report card in 2018. There was some improvement, but for the most part, there was still mostly Ds. There were still 2 Fs. There was a C- in terms of overall sensitivity to diversity in travel. So that was pretty major in 2018 and 2019. And in 2018, the Mandela research firm concluded that the economic value of African-American travelers had increased actually to 63 billion from 48 billion in 2010. And then in 2020, we know that the coronavirus pandemic happened. And so that put travel to a halt. And so in March of 2020, there was a Brown bloggers mastermind group that basically met every week, where Brown bloggers or bloggers, people of color, met to kind of go over what they can do to still stay in business, to still kind of help their readers, help themselves. What could they do to kind of keep their businesses growing since they weren't traveling? And they met weekly, and one of the things that came out of that would end up being the Black Travel Alliance. Before that actually came about, we know, unfortunately, what happened with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and all the protests that were going on. And on June 2nd, there was Blackout Tuesday. And on social media, we had the, people, industry professionals that all posted the Black squares. What was interesting at that time was all the travel companies that posted these Black squares. But if you looked at their companies and looked at their executive boards, looked at their ads, there weren't a lot of Black people in their campaigns or their ads or their executive boards. And so that really became an issue and discussions in the mastermind group. And out of that, we started talking about the need for an organization to really kind of keep the travel industry accountable for the fact that there was just this lack of diversity. We discussed the fact that, again, they kept saying things like, well, we don't know where to find Black vloggers or Black podcasters or Black travel bloggers, even though we obviously existed and we were there. And so by June 16th, there was the official launch of the Black Travel Alliance and the launch of the Pull Up for Travel campaign, in which we asked specifically at first these companies that posted these Black squares to give us to report to us what they had in terms of, executives, leadership, in Black representatives in terms of their companies and in their campaigns. And so Monique is going to go into a little bit more about that Pull Up for Travel campaign. But this was our Black Travel Alliance launch team. What I do want to stress is the fact that our Black Travel Alliance is made up of Black travel bloggers, vloggers, photographers from all over the world. It is not United States based. Right now we have members from the United Kingdom and the United States. And so we hope to be a global brand, a global represent Black travel content creators from all over the world. And so we invite people from Africa, the UK, Canada, South America, anyone that considers themselves to be a Black travel content creator to join our organization. And so this is our launch team that launched in June. So we've accomplished a lot since June. And so basically, what is the Black Travel Alliance? We are a new group of Black travel content creators from all over the world, and we're built on three community pillars of alliance, amplification, and accountability. Alliance in terms of we believe that when we come together, we are stronger together. Amplification in terms of we unify to amplify, and accountability in that we plan to hold destinations and travel brands accountable on issues of diversity and inclusion. So we believe that unifying under these three community pillars that we will really make a difference in the travel industry. Our mission is to support Black travel content creators around the world and increase representation in the travel industry, included but not limited to employment, conferences, and media. Our vision is to create a world where Black people are accurately represented in the travel industry. As Erica was mentioning, we've had really good representation in the press. When we launched, we were in a lot of major publications, as you can see here. We hope to continue that and obviously get the word out about our mission and our vision. One of my favorite headlines was in the New York Times, posting a Black square but not Black faces, again, because there were a lot of companies that were quick to throw up the Black square. But again, when you looked at their company, looked at their ads, looked at their staff, there was not much representation of Black people or people of color in their company or organization. And so it was time for someone to hold these travel industry and professionals and companies up to the wall and say, you know, you need to put up and show us what you have. And that was us, basically. And so we're still doing that at this point. So why should you join the Black Travel Alliance? For travel content creators, we plan to offer training and business support for our members, conference opportunities, networking events. We've already started social media promotion. We want to highlight Black travel content creators on our social media. And this would be for micro influencers. Whether you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers, we want people to get to know you. We plan to have a content creator directory, again, so that people or travel industry professionals will stop saying they don't know where to find Black travel content creators. And again, this will be for bloggers, vloggers, podcasters, videographers, photographers from all over the world. We want to partner with industry professionals to have a job board. Everything from press trips to just partnerships, we hope to offer to our content creators. And if you are not a Black travel content creator, and again, this goes more towards allyship, we are still working on all the ways that you can help support our mission. But one of the ways would definitely be if you calling out brands. So in terms of what I've just personally worked with other non-Black content creators, and they have actually called out brands. If they've been invited on press trips and they've noticed that there's been no diversity, they've actually turned down trips, or they've called out the DMOs and the brand and said, well, why isn't there, you know, no person of color on this press trip? Why are there no, you know, people of color on any of your ads or campaigns? So I think to just start out by doing that would be a great way to support our mission. If you see that there are brands or DMOs that are doing the right thing, then that could be also something that you do. Let us know, let people know that this is a brand that's getting it right, and let people know that. Obviously also following us on social media, sharing information about the Black Travel Alliance, so that you can support our message of diversity and accountability. For brands and companies, businesses, so obviously you will have access to our Black travel content directory once that's up and running. And so you'll have access to talented Black travel content creators from all over the world. And then you will also obviously increasing diversity benefits everyone in terms of your company and for your campaigns and for the community. And I think just as a whole, for the industry. So I think that will benefit brands and businesses to be involved with Black Travel Alliance. And so that is the basis of what we are. Again, Alliance Amplification and Accountability. And you can go to our website to join. It has all different criteria and categories for you to check off. And we will be sending out bi-weekly newsletters to keep everyone up to date as to what we are doing. And we have a lot coming up. And so I invite everyone to go to our website to join. Like I said, Monet is going to talk a bit about our campaign, Pull Up for Travel. And so I will turn it over to her. If I can stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Nadeen.
Where is my mic?
I got it, because it will stop it once I start.
So okay, got it. Thanks.
Perfect. Hi again, everybody. So I'm going to be talking about our Pull Up for Travel campaign that we had. These are the unofficial campaign results. They're not finalized yet. So I do ask if anyone was planning on writing anything about this, if you just please know that these are unofficial. We're still working on pulling all the data together, and we're still having some companies that are responding and reaching out. So as Nadeen was mentioning, on Blackout Tuesday, there were tons of companies, individuals that decided to post a Black square. So initially with our campaign results, we're showing that there are about 121 travel brands, DMOs, travel brands, travel communities, travel media, travel services, travel retail brands, and travel related financial services that posted Black squares on Blackout Tuesday using that hashtag or the Black Lives Matter hashtag. For our Pull Up for Travel, you can see that so far 63 of those companies have responded to us. So that in itself just shows, one of the main reasons why we're doing what we're doing is because we want these brands to be held accountable for the message that they're sending. If you're going to say Black Lives Matter and you're going to say Blackout Tuesday, then really come together and work with us. I want to mention that we're not doing this just to nitpick on what brands or companies are doing, because we understand that every single person has opportunity for growth in diversity and inclusion in that space. However, we also feel as if when you see where you stand currently, it's easier for you to know where you need to improve on if you already know where you are. So the reason for the Pull Up for Travel campaign is really for brands to take a look at themselves and DMOs to take a look at themselves internally and seeing what media they're putting forth and so forth. That way they can know where they should improve. So we're hoping that we will have more DMOs and more travel brands that will pull up for travel. But as you can see so far, we've had 63 of those people that posted on Blackout Tuesday respond to us. As we said, we are also a global organization, so it was nice that the top 4 countries that did respond were the USA, UK, Canada, and Australia. So for us to get, travel companies all the way from Australia to be involved with this really meant a lot to show their dedication to diversity and inclusion. And then we are working together to do the yearly industry scorecard. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about exactly what that will be. So we will be measuring brands on 6 KPIs. So the first one is employment. So we'll be scoring them on the current number and percentage of Black people in management and on staff. Vendors, the current number of and percentage of Black companies that they do business with. For conference and trade shows, how much Black representation do they have on their speaker panels and their workshops and their sessions? And in paid advertising and marketing campaigns, again, what is the Black representation in TV, radio, print, and digital channels, including social media? For press, what is their Black representation on media and press strips? And for philanthropy, the charitable contributions and support that they're making. So whether that be mentorship, intern programs, donations to Black charities and community groups, what exactly are they providing? So this will be the basis of the scorecard. So we're hoping that, by the end of the year, we'll be able to put this together. We are currently trying to work with various institutions and organizations that will help us do the research. We don't want anything to be biased, and we want everything to be, done correctly. So just so you guys know, we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the information is calculated in the correct way. So it was really great to see the companies that did respond. We did have some companies that provided exactly the information that we asked for. There were companies that only provided statements. And the Black Travel Alliance, one of our other goals is to hold them accountable. So if you're going to say, this is what we're pledging to do, we will be following up with them and asking them to submit this information again to see where they are. We'll also be helping them in any ways, that they need. We've already had conversations with several companies like Expedia and the Points Guy, and just talking to them about how we can partner together for them to be able to reach the goals that they would like to reach. So it's been a whirlwind of the last 2 months, but we're very excited to see the progress that we're making, and for those companies that are really stepping forward to see how much they do want to change, and really looking forward to the right ways to change long term, not just short term on one Tuesday, in June. So Nadeen, I believe that you might have had something else.
Oh, nope, I think that was it.
Okay, perfect. So that's it as far as the presentation aspect, and then we're happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I feel like I thought I knew what the Black Travel Alliance was doing, but I had no clue what you were doing apparently. And it seems like you're doing just a ton. And I really applaud you for taking this on in an umbrella sort of way. So it's not just like one person trying to lead something. It's really like, a bunch of people leading something that is welcoming everyone. So I really see that as incredibly useful, especially when we're talking about just like the power of a movement and the power of really like changing the conversation, especially around travel. It just breaks my heart. Like, yeah. It just feels so disconnected because we travel the world to meet people of different races, different cultures. And then, if that's not reflected in the travel media, it just feels so disconnected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
First, I want to ask you guys, before we do have a few questions, I want to ask you why you two personally feel so strongly about this. Just like not the BTA answer, but more like the Monet, Nadeen, like what has you doing all this extra work and really working on this?
So for me personally, as I mentioned, I have 2 daughters, and we love to travel. And for me, it's important if I find something important and I think it's something that affects, my children, obviously everyone, but especially when it's personal to you, I want my kids to be able to see themselves in travel media, especially like, honestly, not even from a business like a brand or DMO standpoint, even just a when we travel standpoint, the questions that sometimes we get, from people when we start talking in the airport, and then we tell them about our travels, and then they make assumptions about us because we're Black, and they're like, oh, you must be military. Like that's the only way that like we can, that we can afford to travel to these places, or whatever misconceptions that people have. So it's something that I want to make sure that they see themselves in everything. It's the reason why I wrote my children's book on kids traveling, and really to diversify travel, not just on the internet, but in people's homes. Because, as Nadeen mentioned, like if you type in family travel right now on Google, you will not see families that look like mine. And I want every child, especially children of color, to know that they can go anywhere they want to go, no matter what their circumstances are, regardless of if they traveled when they were younger, if they had parents that were interested in travel, whatever the case may be. I want them to know that it's possible for them to do it. I also want parents to know it's possible for them to continue traveling once they have kids. For me, it's really about representation. And, even though, like I thought to myself when I was posting about Black Travel Alliance for people to be like, oh, well, you seem to be like a successful blogger and you're already working with demos, so why are you complaining? But just because I'm doing something, there's a lot of tokenism in the industry, and it's to combat that. Just because you hire one Black person, one person of color, that's not enough. It shouldn't be a check, you know, a box that you're checking off, but it should really be something that's ingrained in the organization that we won't have to notice when we are in commercials or when we are on campaigns. It won't be like, oh my God, did you see that they like picked like a Black content creator to do that? You know, so when it becomes everyday occurrence, that it's just natural, and that's when I feel like we will succeed at what we started out to. But you know, that's just a little bit of the reason why I wanted to be part of Black Travel Alliance, because I feel like there are so many talented people in our industry that are Black, and unfortunately, we don't get the credit that we deserve. Even with, you know, amplifying melanated voices with that week, there were so many Black content creators that grew exponentially in their following size, as simple as something on Instagram. And those followers, those new followers, have stuck around. So it's not that our content isn't good enough, but it's that we're not getting the same exposure as other people in the industry. You know, we're not, for whatever reason, we're not in that mix of where it's like, oh, recommending this person and recommending, and it's, you know, so those are the reasons why I wanted to join, because I think there's so much work the industry has to do. And if we as ourselves won't do it, then who will do it?
Right. Yeah, and for the similar things, I think for me, there's always been, I'm a Black female physician. Believe it or not, there's only like 2.5% among all physicians that are Black female physicians. So for me, there's just always been in my life this fight for diversity and to increase numbers. And, you know, and so when I started in the travel blogging industry, like Anika actually was the first person I saw that looked like me. But then when I started going to conferences and networking, I'm like, oh, there are other Black travel bloggers, but how come I don't see them anywhere, you know? And so there was just always this like thin blonde that I would see, you know, on Instagram or on social media. And I was like, but how come we're not getting work? How come we're not on the campaigns? How come we're not getting these press strips? And so I've been very active, I would say about for 6 years in terms of it. And I would see, like Mo was saying, the content is there, the passion is there, but we just weren't getting the opportunities. We'd have to be, you know, have twice as many followers or do twice as much work. And so it's just been really frustrating to see, you know, again, because we're spending the money. We have the numbers, you know. I think there's this misconception like Black people don't travel as much. We don't have the money. We don't, you know, enjoy luxury, you know, and all those things are just such misconceptions. And, you know, my family immigrated to the United States from Jamaica. My mother traveled all over the world. I mean, she's deceased, but she traveled more than I've even traveled. And so this whole misconception that we don't travel, we don't have the money, we don't do these things, it's just so false. And so again, I just feel like, you know, the more you know, the more you put that out there so that people know that we're here and that we can do the work and that we have the money and we are, you know, involved with every aspect of travel, from luxury to budget. Somebody asked about camping and backpacking. I mean, outdoor travel, everything. We do everything. And so I think this is just a way, again, for that to be known among the brands and the DMOs. And so, yeah, that's the reason I feel I'm so passionate about it. So, and I think, again, like Mo said, with the amplify melanated and Black voices, people were just like, oh, you know, Black travelers do that and do this. And, you know, for me, I actually am studying for my wine certification. And so people were just like, oh, Black wine professionals, Black people know about wine. I mean, it's been like amazing to me that people ask me questions like that. And so I was in Bordeaux last fall and they were like, on a press trip, actually, I was the only Black person. And yeah, you know, it's again, just like breaking through those, you know, microaggressions and misconceptions, and then just getting out there and saying, yes, if you want a Black travel content creator to write about wine, here's one here. If you want a Black travel content creator to write about backpacking, here's one here. And there's no limit to what we can do. And I think that we can prove that once we have everything going with Black Travel Alliance. So
it's incredible.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I feel like Travis Levius,
Yes. Who's
Levius.
one of our founders also.
He's one
Yes.
of the founders. We actually have Kerwin coming on too. He's gonna
Oh, yes.
gonna do a presentation on Jamaica, actually.
Awesome. Yep. Yep.
But Travis was on last week and he was talking about, sliding into these publishers' Twitter feeds.
Right.
And it really just, honestly, like, people don't know what they don't know. Like, just like you said, Onika was the first person that you saw that looked like you. Onika's only been around for 6 years.
Yeah, so I started about 6 years ago and she was already out. So
Yeah.
So she's probably been about like 8-10 years. I think she started, like she said, just writing, just
Yeah.
to, and then
Full time. Yeah, full time.
Exactly.
Sorry, she's been around much longer.
Yeah.
But full time.
Yeah. Right.
I always get so blown away when she talks about how she's only been doing it full time for like 4 or 5 years.
Right, exactly.
But the only person and so to have that list, or to have that access to just finding the kinds of people that you want. I mean, whether it's the Black Travel Alliance or literally like a list of people that go camping, like, if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so you guys are providing an incredible resource, I think, for even like each other, right?
Yes.
Each other, and all,
Exactly.
like, so when people say like, I have this thing, and you're like, I'm not gonna scuba dive, but let me look to see who I know that's like a scuba diving expert or something like that.
Exactly right.
And then, like, the ripple effect.
That's exactly right. Yep. The support, because you definitely need, and that we plan to do that, like I mentioned, in terms of networking, because if you find a group of people like you that do it, and you can do things together, and you can network and do trips together, and then you get noticed more if you can actually do these things together and go on the platform together. And I mean, I think, like I said, it's going to be great. We're excited.
I saw that David, Maggie, and Jennifer all typed in questions. Do you guys want to unmute yourselves and ask, or would you rather me read it? Does someone want to unmute themselves? Perhaps David? Here, I think I can. Oh.
Okay. I was asking, do you suggest that we personally call out companies that don't demonstrate diversity in their advertising, or should we, or would you prefer we just refer to them to BTA or both? Just today I saw a couple of advertising sites that really struck me. They really stood out for their, I mean, it was just all, it was a cruise site, I think, and it was just all these old white wobbly people that on this cruise, and I said, geez, and so I saw those couple of sites today, and so this question occurred to me: what's the best way to deal with that, as personally, as a consumer?
I think it's stronger coming from you, because if everything is just coming from the BTA, then they'll just start to think that it's only the BTA that has an issue with things that are going on. So I think you, as a consumer, you being a concerned consumer and noticing that, I think that will hold a lot more weight personally.
Okay.
And then you can, and you can decide what your comfort level is on how you address it. That's all up to you personally on how you feel comfortable. But I definitely think that you doing it yourself will have a much greater impact.
I agree. Yeah. I see Maggie had a question.
Yeah, actually, David had another question. Do you want to ask your other question, David?
I don't see it, and I don't remember what. This particular time you're launching now at this particular time. Is this an advantageous time to do it? I mean, the industry is in a lull, and there's heightened public sensitivity about the issues. I would assume that this is a very good time for you to happen to be doing this.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is a good time to be doing it. I think, as I said, we got a lot of press, obviously, especially launching around after the Blackout Tuesday. And we asked the companies to report to us by Juneteenth. So again, we had a lot of press then. And even though there's not obviously a lot of travel going on, it is the best time to think about when we do start traveling again, how are companies going to do it? So what are the travel brands going to do to try and shape their companies once we start traveling again? What are their campaigns going to look like? What's our advertising going to look like? And so I think if we're thinking ahead for 2021, this is the time for them to start planning, you know, and reshape their brand and reshape their campaigns for next year. So we're hoping that if we get in their head that as they're planning for next year, then, you know, we can work with them and that we can see some improvements for next year. And we plan to keep on top of them, like every 6 months at least is what our goal is, to try and keep them accountable. So yeah, I think it's been a great time, we think, to launch this.
So I can't imagine that you planned it this way. It's more or less a fortunate
Just happened.
convergence.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of happened.
Mhm. You also have a captive audience because like everyone's just at home literally staring at their phone.
Right. Pretty much. Exactly.
Maggie, did you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Maggie? All right, so Maggie was asking, when researching travel organizations, what are some good ways to find out how true or false they are with diversity, Black amplification? For example, what should I look for exactly on their website or any other online presence?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you know, obviously, sometimes it's pretty obvious if you look at their social media, in terms of just scrolling their Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, if there's like no diversity in terms of their ads campaigns, looking at their blogs, if they have that, you can sometimes you can just go to their website, look at their executive team, look at their staffing. And so if you don't see anything like that, recently when this was all going on, people on Twitter were just straight out asking people to show them. Like, do you have pictures or lists of your executive team or your staffing? So there were influencers that were just flat out asking certain companies to release that information and to show them. So I think, you know, depending on if you're planning to say work with the company, you may have a right to ask that. Like if they've invited you to work with them on a campaign, I think you have the right to ask that. So that would be one way. What do you think, Mo?
Yeah, no, I agree. You can honestly, even just someone's Instagram feed is a very good tell. And it's, you know, it's sad because it's something that's so small in the grand scheme of things and kind of very easy to be diverse in.
Right.
But you literally, like I posted on my own Instagram, I was like, you know, it was like Instagram feeds and it was just like all the white icons. I posted like the people, the emojis. And then it was like Blackout Tuesday, so they had a black square, and then it was like 2 or 3 days of like brown and black people, and then it went straight back to all white people. And just by something as little as that, you're saying like, who are you reposting? Like, who are you hiring when you're hiring models or actors or whoever the case may be? Something as little as that, you can tell, you know, there's all these companies, especially like outdoor companies, in my opinion, are some of the worst offenders. And they don't really pose. Even when, another way you can tell is when you see, like, say if you see one of, you know, your favorite influencers posting a campaign, there's typically a hashtag for each campaign. You can click on that hashtag who else is a part of the campaign. So that's a good way to tell. And then for like publications, you're able to go and see who the writer is if it's an online publication and see like, are they hiring writers of color at all? Even on their website, looking through their ads, like a lot of them have videos or all their videos only of white travelers. So those are some ways that you can definitely be able to see if they're, you know, if they are diverse and if they are inclusive.
Yeah.
Great. Wonderful suggestions. Jennifer, did you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, hi. This was very interesting. I'm looking at it coming from the, I guess, the side of a provider to have my own tour company and most domestic travel. But I have run into just examples of, like for instance, in the outdoors, as you said, camping, you know, there was a group of us and we were watched and followed
Yeah.
and signaled out for the entire weekend, you know, for every little infraction,
Mm.
you know, and I just said, you know, I don't know if you all want to become the Yelp of, of travel and, you know, every little microaggression, every little display, but I think some of these places need to be called out.
Yeah.
And I know there's a publication, I'm in Maryland, and there's a publication that's a regional publication, mostly out of West Virginia, and they focus on the outdoors. And they are trying here and there. But for like, for example, when they post events, you know, they'll post a whole summertime events of musical festivals and things that are going on. And not to say that Black people don't listen to bluegrass, but I mean, it's, you know, it's all the bluegrass festivals. I'm just like, well, there's plenty of other events that are happening. They just, you know, they did have an article one time talking about, you know, Black hikers and runners and what have you, but it's just few and far between. And
we are working with, we are working with destinations as well, absolutely, and public relations societies across the country. And so you're right, we are working on that end also, because there are destinations that, you're correct, don't look at what's going on in terms of Black culture in their city and in their destinations. And we've actually met with a few already. So, and we actually have one of our founders, actually, Lauren of Outdoorsy Diva. She was just featured on ABC News talking about how Black people are treated in the outdoors, and because that's her niche. And she was on a segment with ABC News about that. So yeah, like I think we're trying as much as we can to get the word out about in every aspect possible, but we definitely plan to work with the public relations companies of different destinations, and the destinations in particular, to be more diverse and be more sensitive about the fact that there's wide ranges of cultures in every community.
And definitely plan on joining the organization. So.
Oh, excellent. We'll be happy to have you.
That's awesome. I mean, also you're talking about the US, so hopefully some laws will be put in place. And so it's not just on the Black Travel Alliance, but it's also systematic and institutional change. But what you guys are doing is so valid, but I mean, all of it doesn't have to go on you in that case, because that sounds like straight discrimination in real life.
It's like straight discrimination, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Good way to put it, exactly.
The world right now, or America right now, or the world right now. I don't know how to frame it. Okay, I'm not sure how to say your name. Dien Sakutua? Did I? How do you say it?
Deny, like don't deny.
Oh, hi. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, and thank you so much for getting to my question. BTA, absolutely love you guys' work. Thank you so much for your work, especially because it's data driven, which is awesome. So I just had a question. You know, obviously, yeah, America sucks right now. We're in a horrible pandemic, but I finally have the time to try and start a travel blog, which I've always wanted to do because I'm a really keen traveler. So do you have any advice as to how to start that right now, despite the current lull in traveling? Because I don't think it will last forever. And obviously besides joining BTA or something like that.
I actually think now is a great time because you have so much time, and once you get really into it, you will see how much time it takes to write blog posts. And people are like, oh, it takes quick. And then like, I'm still working on something 8 hours later. And my husband is like, how long does it take you to write this? And I'm like, listen, I have to write, I have to format, I have to edit pictures, I have to resize pictures, I have to do all these things. It takes a long time. I actually think now is a great time, especially if you aren't aware of SEO and search engine optimization. Like, Google takes a few months for your blog post to crawl and to rank. So being able to do that now and having that stuff done now, when people are starting to travel, hopefully your blog post will be ranking and things like that. So it's a great time to build a base. You know, you can talk about maybe travel tips that you have. And if you're going to be on social media, just like building your community from now. That way, when you do start, you'll at least be starting with some, you know, some tidbit of leeway. So I actually think now is a great time to start, because you have a lot of time to get a lot of posts up before travel starts again.
Yeah. I would also say that, or ask, is BTA going to be sharing resources? So I know like Glow has a blogging, I forget what she calls it, a blogging success academy, something like that. But, you know, there's so many people out there that have products. And so is that something you're thinking about? Like creating a database of that, or just knowledge base of that?
Yeah, so with our database, we're hoping that like every content creator that's involved will have like their own page where it puts the information that they have, like about their background, where you can find them, if they offer courses. And then we'll also be having workshops, so where people in the Black Travel Alliance are able to present to everyone and talk about the things that, you know, they're really good at, and then providing that list so everyone can really be a community and we can lean on each other to grow. And I think community is something that's really important for us. And, you know, for someone that's new, one of the things that we have realized too is that a lot of things, unfortunately, have to do with access. And, you know, Erica is someone who is involved with Nomadic Mac and understands TravelCon. Like, you see those types of conferences, not just at TravelCon, but all conferences, and you go, and Black people and brown people of color are the minority in those instances. And unfortunately, a lot of times it does have to do with the, you know, access. And conferences, like, just honestly, they're expensive. It takes a lot of money to fly someplace, get a hotel, pay for your conference, all those things. So one of the things that we're hoping to do with the Black Travel Alliance as well is to offer scholarships to our members. So to be able to help ease the amount of time it takes for you to get from here to here, because that access unfortunately hinders a lot of people, whether that's equipment, conferences, whatever the case may be. So that's really something that we're hoping that we're able to put forth and offer to the members, so you can have the chance to experience those things that are only going to help you take your career to the next level.
And I see Kerwin just got on. We actually just sent out a survey to our members, and part of the reason we did the survey was to look to see what our content creators need help with, you know, what they find they're struggling with their blogging business. And so we do want to, you know, curate training and resources to help our content creators grow with their business. So they absolutely will be. And we have like a gamut, like when you look at the 18 of us, just the 18 of us, and we haven't even expanded it to the wider membership yet, but just the 18 you know, board members right now, we have a wide range of knowledge. And so, yeah, there's definitely going to be training and resources available. So
incredible.
Yeah.
So we have to jump off in like 3-4 minutes. Does anyone have a burning question? I see Casey had one from the beginning. Do you want to ask your question quickly?
It's not really a burning question, but it's more about how it's going to be organized on the website, like all of the creators and everything. will I be able to, like, I'm a new YouTuber, so like, would I be able to go on and look for YouTubers, Black YouTubers who are looking for collaborations or something like that?
So, oh, go ahead, Nadine.
No, you go ahead, Mo.
We're hoping, yeah, it will be broken up into like platforms, niches, like a way that you can search. Now, that's a great idea. I don't know if we have planned on do it, like if there's like a notification, like on LinkedIn, you know, where you can have that premium and then like recruiters can know that you're looking for a job without your job.
Right.
So that's actually Kerwin, write this down. That's actually a great suggestion, because yeah, if you can have something where people are like, oh yeah, I'm open to collaborating, I think that would be great. But initially our thought was at least to have it broken down with the niche, and whether, you know, if you're only social media or only blog, and then like where your major platform is. So yes.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
And then we have Lori. Is that a burning question, Lori? Where are you? Can you unmute yourself?
Not a burning question either, but I just
Go
have
ahead.
one quick comment. I know this is just a startup and when things get started, but has there been any thought to like any mentoring programs with, you know, high school kids, or, you know, my husband teaches in New York City. He's in Brooklyn, and a lot of kids don't go out of Brooklyn. I mean, they know that area. He's in an inner city school, and it would be nice if we, you know, there were some programs somebody could come in and talk about, you know, going to Tanzania or going to wherever they're going. So just a thought down the line, down the road, just some mentoring programs.
No, that's a good point, Lori. Actually, we've talked to Stephanie Jones. She started the National Blacks in Travel and Tourism. Again, we've had so many people contact us who want to collaborate, which has been awesome. And she's actually started working with some HBCUs, which is historically Black colleges and universities. And again, because there's not a lot of push for people at HBCUs to go into like hospitality, or even if there is, they don't really understand what is involved in the hospitality industry and how to get involved with travel and tourism industry. And so she's working on trying to get into some of these colleges and speak to the students there. And so, yeah, if you were hoping to do some collaborations, and I think that's a great idea. So there's definitely a lot on the table right now. I'm glad that you brought that up, because we're definitely looking into a lot of different collaborations and how we can, you know, speak to the, you know, people of the future who are going to be involved in making sure to carry on this legacy, obviously.
Yeah. Also, I would say, Lori, I'm in New York City. We have Justa in New York City, who was a previous speaker who runs Tanzania.
Oh, Tanzania, love her.
Yeah, I went on a trip with her. I did
There
a
you
trip
go.
with her. Yeah, I know Justa. Yeah.
All right. So
Awesome. I want to go on a trip with her.
I want to go.
Love her.
She taught us how to dance on one of these, so.
I believe it.
I know, she's always dancing. But also, we have a nonprofit, Take Flight. Well, it's technically Flight, and we send classes abroad. So definitely have your husband like look into that. You could email me or whatever. I can put you in contact with the person that runs that, Carmela, who's done a number of these also. But if he's a high school teacher, and we have another teacher in New York, if he's a high school teacher, then that's something that's open to him.
Yep, I will do that. Thank you so much.
Cool. I just wanted to let you know that I sent you all an email with both Monet and Nadine's, all their handles.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I encourage you to look for that email, follow them everywhere as always. I like to remind everyone on this call that like you guys are doing this for free out of the goodness of your heart, because you're passionate about this topic and because you want to share it with the community. Like, who wants to do an extra presentation ever? I don't know. So like, it's got to be something that you really believe in. I mean, it's nighttime, you have kids, like there's just a lot of things. So as just in a way to support them, like really just knowing who they are, sharing who they are, following who they are, so that you know like who to recommend next time, because this is all this network is about, right? Knowing people, learning about people, and then being able to say like, oh, you know, you're a family that wants to travel, well, have you ever followed or have you ever seen any photos from the traveling child? It's so inspirational. Or like, you're into wine, oh my God, have you seen what the Sophisticated Life is posting? Like, it's unreal. So that we like know who to recommend.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Nadine. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Monet. And I just want to say thank you also to our community for showing up. And
Yes.
this is really sweet and intimate. And I'm really glad you guys came.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming.
And
Appreciate it.
also, one more thing. Tomorrow, we actually have Nomadic Matt is going to be talking at 12 about traveling during the coronavirus, because he's been doing, I saw his, I don't know who follows him on Instagram stories, but he played a whole round of mini golf by himself.
Oh my gosh.
Coronavirus.
Stop
world.
it. Oh my, I've been following him on Twitter, like when he was when he had it, and I was like, oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Yes, I'll be tuning into that.
Mm-hmm. And Kerwin is going to come and talk about Jamaica. We just haven't set a date yet. So
yes,
we'll have to keep checking
my
back.
our homeland.
Me and Nadine are both Jamaican, so.
Yes.
Amazing.
Big
Well, we better
Jamaican
show up.
connection here. Yes.
All right. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night. Good night. Oh, I like to stay on, but alas, I must leave.